Teacher, do you have any rainbow trout?
Nope. Go fish. Emily, you got any swordfish?
Yeah.
Nice. Got any tuna?
Go fish. Hannah, do you have any betta fish?
No, go fish.
But that reminds me of the day that Lincoln was shot at Ford's Theater. Remember?
Oh,
I remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
The plot to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln began when John Wilkes Booth found out that Confederate General Robert E. Lee had surrendered to end the Civil War. Booth had also planned to kill Andrew Johnson, who was Lincoln's vice president. After Lincoln was assassinated, Johnson took the office to become the 17th President of the United States of America. Instead of following through with Johnson's assassination, Booth's assistant, George Atzerodt, got drunk at a bar instead. In addition to Lincoln and Johnson, Booth had also planned to kill William Seward, who, after losing the presidential race to Lincoln, became the Secretary of State. He was wounded by Lewis Powell, but he did not die. Booth purchased a .44 caliber pistol. On April 14, 1865, Abraham Lincoln and his wife Mary Todd Lincoln went to Ford's Theater to watch the play Our American Cousin.
So what do you want to do?
You know what? I think there's a show, Our American Cousin. You want to go see that?
That sounds good to me.
Our American Cousin is a 3-act play written by the English playwright Tom Taylor. Lincoln was shot halfway through Act 3, Scene 2. After shooting Lincoln, Booth stabbed Major Henry Rathbone and jumped out of the presidential box. Booth landed on the stage and ended up breaking his leg, but he still was able to run away without anyone in the theater catching up to him. After escaping, Booth hid in a barn, which seemed like a pretty good idea, until the barn was set on fire by Union soldiers and he himself was shot by Boston Corbett. Booth was shot in the neck. His last words were spent looking at his hands, saying, "Useless, useless." Charles Guiteau is one of the most well-known failures in American history. Everything that he did, he failed at. First, he tried law, but was unsuccessful and only argued one case in court. Next, Guiteau studied theology and wrote a book called The Truth, which is ironic since he plagiarized the entire book. After that, he sailed on the SS Stonington, which so happened to collide with another ship at night. Finally, he wrote a speech which promoted Garfield for the 1880 presidential campaign. He believed that his speech was responsible for Garfield's victory, and therefore should receive a benefit of the spoils system. However, after trying very hard not to be a failure, the Secretary of State, James Blaine, told Guiteau to personally never return. Guiteau was feeling ready for revenge and was determined to be successful in one thing, so, naturally, he decided to assassinate President Garfield. He knew that Garfield would be at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station in Washington, D.C. Since he knew that he would be the center of attention after he shot the president, he made sure to get his shoes shined to look his best. Guteau was caught, and luckily there were medics on the scene. Unfortunately, the medics were not very good. It would appear that Garfield was lucky to have doctors that would work tirelessly for the next 2.5 months in order to save him. The medical team that tried to save Garfield was led by Dr. Willard Bliss. Some new technology that was added in an attempt to save the president's life was the use of an air conditioner in order to cool the room down. Although it cooled the room by 20 degrees, it also helped to spread around infection that would soon become lethal. Doctors looked to Alexander Graham Bell, who is most famously known for being credited for inventing the telephone. He had designed a metal detecting machine in order to find the bullet within Garfield. Unfortunately, it was a failed attempt due to the fact that Garfield's bed was made of metal, which threw off the entire detection, which only made the wounds worse. "79 days later, on September 19th, Garfield died due to a massive infection from unsanitary medical practices. Charles Guteau had even failed to assassinate the president, as the real killers of Garfield were the doctors themselves. In 1901, Buffalo, New York held a World's Fair. It was called the Pan American Exposition. The theme, Pan American, was set to show the relationship between all of the American nations in North, South, and Central America. On September 6th, Leon Chigosh attended the Pan American Exposition. He was a former steel worker who would later become an American anarchist. Some highlights of the Pan American Exposition included the newly developed X-ray machine, as well as the New York State Building. However, the main attraction at this time was the Temple of Music, where President William McKinley was greeting people who had attended the fair. The Temple of Music was hated by McKinley's personal secretary, who insisted that it put the president in danger. However, McKinley was naive and was not afraid of assassins.
You need some milk!
Chigash shot McKinley twice. He became seriously wounded.
Shot through the heart, and you're too late, darling. You give love a bad name.
Dr. Matthew Mann operated on McKinley in bad surgical conditions and was unable to find the bullet. Despite everything, McKinley made an apparent recovery. He asked his wife how his speeches at the exposition went and was happy to know that they went well.
Got a hold on me when passion's a prison you can't break free. Oh, you're a loaded gun. Yeah. Oh.
However, McKinley didn't really make a recovery and died on September 14th.
Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. You give love a bad name. I play my part, and you play your game.
Chigash was put into custody and was sentenced to death by electric chair on October 29th. Before he died, he said, "I killed the president because he was the enemy of the good people, the good working people. I am not sorry for my crime."
Paint your smile on your lips, blood-red nails on your fingertips, a schoolboy's dream.
As perhaps the most well-known presidential assassination, John F. Kennedy's death is one that some historians disagree on. Kennedy was in Dallas, Texas, and on November 22, 1953, he was shot twice and died almost instantly. If you look at the scene, you will notice that there are 6 people in the car. The driver was William Greer, a service agent. Some people argue that he reached behind him to shoot JFK in the back of the head. The 39th governor of Texas, Governor John Connally, was also in the car. He was seriously injured during the shooting since he was sitting in front of the president. Jackie Kennedy was sitting beside her husband when he was shot. Renowned for her beauty and grace, she was present with Kennedy up until he died in the operating room. John Kennedy offered her $1 million not to divorce him after she discovered that he was cheating on her. Of course, John F. Kennedy was the center of attention. He was the 35th President of the United States and is considered a well-liked president even today. Also present in the car was Nellie Connolly, the wife of Governor Connolly, and Secret Service agent Roy Kellerman. The first bullet that hit JFK also hit Governor Connolly. The next bullet shot the president in the head. Jackie Kennedy reached behind them to collect fragments of her husband's head that had landed on the back of the vehicle. She was also present moments later on Air Force One after JFK was proclaimed dead to swear in Lyndon B. Johnson as the next president of the United States of America. History has decided that Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated Kennedy by shooting him from the 6th story of the Texas School Book Depository building. However, the exact assassin is still debated, and some people have simply accepted Kennedy's death as none other than a conspiracy theory. Lee Harvey Oswald himself was shot by Jack Ruby, a Dallas club owner, 2 days after Kennedy's assassination.
He killed my president! He killed my president!
Yeah. So anyway, do you have any sharks?
Nope. Go fish.
Wait, maybe you should redo that.
Look at that, Monica. I just knocked off.
What the?
Man of yours, is he good looking?
Oh!
Keep your hands off.
Forgot to die that time. Oh wait, I thought I was gonna die again.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Have evolved. You can make them greener in 72
I don't know what to say. I'm so
And get up and crutch off.
gotta crunch off.
There we go.
No, you can't do that. No.
Okay, now crutch off.
Remember which leg it is.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, all right. Well,
Well, you have to.
you know,
You have to crunch.
faster.
Okay. I just killed the president.
Oh, she's hurt.
You switched.
She left her gun.
You switched legs.
She switched legs. What the? What the? Got her good that time. Mary Todd? You did what?
Didn't make sense.
Oh hey! Ah! Oh, what? Ah! Ah!
True! Why did you?
Ah! Tell my wife we're getting a divorce.
Hi, I'm president.
Wait, you can't do that. Well,
How's it look, doctor?
keep going. Okay.
Well,
Gotcha.
What